Hello, my name is Jeff, and this is the Cadillac Allante, an Italian and Detroit hybrid. Now, specifically, this is a 1987 model year, the first year of the 7-year production run. The Allante was said to be the new spirit of Cadillac because it was a flagship model intended to bring new buyers to the brand, which they were in desperate need of. Now, this particular car is also probably one of the lowest mileage examples on the planet, with just 1,500 original miles, and it's now for sale. It's going to be heading up for auction on Bring a Trailer as offered from Casio Motors, and the sale will include the hardtop and the owner's books, but it will also include dealer literature and cassettes, and even the Cadillac 24-karat gold-plated keys. In the early 1980s, Cadillac was desperately trying to appeal to new buyers, and the proposed solution was an aspirational model with designer-style branding. This new model would be called the Allante, a name chosen from over 1,700 computer-generated names, and would have to go head-to-head with the finest offerings from foreign luxury competitors. In 1982, Cadillac sent its engineers to Italy with the goal of finding the best designer and coach builder for the job, completely skipping over the General Motors designers. The decision was made to work with Pininfarina, located in Turin, Italy, famous for their work with Ferrari, Alfa Romeo, Maserati, and more, which GM hoped would bring additional exotic appeal to their new flagship model. With high expectations and sales ahead, Pininfarina constructed a special dedicated vehicle assembly plant outside Turin for what would become an extremely expensive and complicated production process. The air bridge production, as it would be called, saw the Pininfarina designed bodies manufactured in Turin, Italy, which would then be loaded on specially modified Boeing 747s carrying 56 bodies per trip and flying them to Detroit, Michigan for final assembly at Cadillac's Hamtramck assembly plant. The Cadillac Allante was produced from 1987 to 1993, building over 21,000 cars with Italian styling and Detroit underpinnings, priced around $54,000 and competing with the Mercedes SL and Jaguar XJS. Moving on to the exterior, which was again penned and built by Pininfarina, it was considered a very modern and very advanced design for the time, which means Cadillac was certainly on track to attracting new buyers. And when you look at the Allante, it does have an element about it that does feel very European in styling, more as a brand image, and not so much designed and domesticated here in the United States. It still has plenty of technology starting in the front here, with things like these headlight washers, again added to compete with companies like Mercedes. But there's some other really cool technology like the complex headlight out system. And what that was is it was a system that would detect when a headlight bulb had been burned out, and it would use or supplement, I should say, the other lights to actually make up for the lack of light coming from that burned out bulb. And of course, the car would tell you that you have a bulb out. As we come around to the side of the car, lots of beautiful styling elements here. I love all of the lines, the fender flares in the front and the rear, and particularly this center section here with the red stripe. You can see how nicely blended all the indicators are on the side here, even the Pininfarina badge, and you'll find more of that on the interior in this nice lower section finished in black. It just looks gorgeous to me. Now, there's also some cool stuff going on underneath the car. We have these 15-inch Cadillac wheels, and underneath, the Allante is actually based on a modified Eldo Seville platform with fully independent suspension and four-wheel disc brakes with ABS that can come to a stop quite quickly. Moving back to the middle of the car here, I love the way the windshield rakes back. We have a lot of black components here instead of, let's say, chrome or other pieces that might stand out more. Even the mirrors, which look nice but are finished in black to blend in and not stand out as an eyesore, and it looks very clean. You also have these low effort doors, which are quite easy to open to get in and out. And here in the middle, you can see that the top is down because these were all Roadsters. They all came offered from the factory with a winterized hardtop, which will be included in the sale. And then underneath this cover right here, you even get a manually operated soft top with a glass rear window that you can raise if you were driving the car with the top down and something changed or you parked it, etc. You can put the top up. So that's what was available for these cars. Continuing around to the rear here, we have what is probably one of the earliest examples of a power-raising antenna for the radio. And here in the back, the badges are integrated into the taillights, and we even have a very nicely integrated third brake light here up top. I also like the fact that the exhaust tip was designed in a way to match the exterior styling of the car and even finished in black so as not to stand out. And then lastly over here, look how well the gas cap was integrated. This is the latch here. It is locking and can be opened via a button in the interior, and it nicely blends into the body of the Cadillac Allante. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at the interior, which in this case is red. And the Allante features a very driver-focused interior. You can see a lot of the gauge cluster and displays are all angled towards the driver. And here in the seats, we have these special comfy Recaro seats designed specifically for the Allante with 10 powered electronic adjustment features. They also feature 2 memory settings and even an exit position to make it easier to get in and out of the car. And here in the door, you can also see the power locks and power window controls. The other cool part about these seats is look at the condition. I mean, these seats look like they've never been sat in, and that's because of the low mileage of this car. You also get this nice Allante entry door sill here with both the Cadillac and the Pininfarina badge. And if we take a look in the back here, you can see the storage shelf, similar to one that you might find in a Mercedes SL for items you might want to keep in the car or that don't fit in the trunk in the rear. With that, let's go ahead and climb in and we can take a look at the rest of the features the Allante features. So, take the key, go ahead and put it in the ignition, start it up, and make sure the alarm doesn't go off. There we go. So the car comes to life and you can see the liquid crystal displays there on the front, similar to the ones you would have found on the early C4 Corvettes. And they work just like an analog display there. You can see currently it's reading out our idle RPMs. It tells you what gear you're in. On the right side, you have an electronic readout for your speedometer, in addition to your odometer, which is actually 1,513 miles right now. You can see also have your temperature and gas gauge. Then you have some physical buttons there for your trip reset, English to metric measurement changes, and even the display on and off button. And you can even turn the display off at night if it's distracting. However, the car will automatically turn it back on in the event of a system fault. Over here on the left side, we have our interior lights and our Twilight Sentinel changes here, in addition to some of your extra lighting below, including your hazards. The steering wheel and the column are actually adjustable, so you can change it to your liking. You have your turn signal stock here, which is quite narrow and sleek, along with your headlight controls. Over here on the right side, we have our cruise control on and off switches with the settings on the button for the wheel itself. And then we also have our power mirror adjustments and our wipers. Moving on to the center console info here. At the top here, we have our automatic electronic climate control, which can be adjusted here. Then we also have the driver information center, which is for information on the vehicle, in addition to running those diagnostics checks we saw as we first got in, where the car actually greets you and says good morning as well. Below that, we have the legendary GM Bose Delco Symphony sound system. Now, this sound system was actually a $905 option on other Cadillacs at the time, but came standard here on the Allante. And as you can see here with these buttons, it is also tunable, so you can set it up just how you like with a cassette player down below. Moving further down, we have a Pininfarina badge and the shifter for our 4-speed automatic transmission. Easy to put into drive, but you also have the option to manually shift it for the lower gears. Below that, we actually have a fancy lid which reveals our ashtray and cigarette lighter. Then we can actually fold up the armrest, which gives us access to our locking center console. And in the locking center console, you'll find a place to keep your change for toll roads, for example, in addition to the fuel door opener and even the trunk pop, which is quite nice. Over here on the passenger side, you do get a glove box in addition to this very cool styling, and you get plenty of footroom and more of those comfy Recaro seats, which again, have basically never been sat in. So that is a quick look at the interior of the Cadillac Allante, a very advanced car for the time with plenty of modern amenities that would almost feel like you're sitting in a brand new car today with everything that this car has to offer. And essentially a fully loaded Cadillac that put everything they had to offer on the table to be a flagship model. Under the hood is a transverse-mounted, naturally aspirated, fuel-injected 4.1-liter V8, rated for 170 horsepower and 230 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 4-speed automatic transmission, sending power to the front wheels. The Allante weighs around 3,700 pounds, and during in-period testing from Motor Week, achieved 0 to 60 in 9.3 seconds, with a quarter-mile time of 17.3 seconds. Okay, so what's it like to drive the 1987 Cadillac Allante? Well, really, what you've got here is a big, comfy, grand touring roadster. So while some roadsters might be built for speed, that's not the case here. This is built to be a big, lofty, comfortable cruiser, and that's exactly what they built. You have those comfy Recaros that you sit in while you drive it that are fully adjustable, and then you just cruise. With that V8, it has a nice rumble to it. Certainly have plenty of power. You also get the digital readout here from your liquid crystal gauge displays. And the car just tells you everything that's going on. It's pretty confidence instilling. Obviously, you have a lot of controls here as well that help you fine tune it and drive it as you like. But this particular car just feels like a time capsule. I mean, the interior itself is in great condition. You have the beautiful Pininfarina styled exterior built in Italy, then flown here. And as you can see, you get all of your readouts in here. You can take a look at whatever the car wants to tell you, and you can enjoy it with the top down or with the hardtop that'll be included in the sail-on, or even the soft top that even has a glass rear window, which is all great luxury features. And when you consider what this car was and how it was intended to go to bat with things like the Mercedes SL, the 560 SL of all things, this had to be a good car. And so that's what Cadillac built. It was very expensive for the time. Came with all sorts of cool features and obviously lots of technology, and it makes for an incredibly quirky, unique experience. I mean, how many cars can you think about where you interact with them like this, with all these digital controls in such a unique way, all the fun chimes and buttons that this car has in addition to the technology, which just makes for a really interesting driving proposition, but a nice cruiser with that V8. So there you have it. That's a quick look at this 1987 Cadillac Allante with a fascinating story. Body designed and built by Pininfarina and then flown across to Detroit for final assembly before being sold here in the United States as a Cadillac two-seat roadster meant to shake up their image and appeal to new buyers. And this one in particular, with just 1,500 original miles, is for sale. You can find it heading up for auction on Bring a Trailer as offered from Casio Motors. With that, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, you know what to do. And with that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.